0 people. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the zoo. The minion with me this evening is Adam.
Hello.
And as it is once again a Friday, I'm the keeper for this evening, Sanguine. How are you doing tonight, Adam?
I'm doing all right.
That's good to hear. So,
yeah, I can't complain.
just so that you know where we currently are, we're over on my channel because we got bopped for talking about high school level biology. So our channel has a community guidelines strike against it right now.
Really?
Yeah. It is legitimately about talking about high school level biology. Because there's a known thing that... Fuck it, I'll say it on mine, because what's the worst that could happen? I get bopped and I can't stream for a bit on my channel. By the time that I come back from my early Christmas, my channel will be good, and also the Minions channel will be good. So we got bopped over on Minions because we had the audacity of saying something that has been known for an extended period of time, that sickle cell anemia is able to prevent malaria in a large number of cases. That's one of the reasons why it's thought to have evolved to the extent that it did and is as prevalent in sub-Saharan Africa as it is, because it helped prevent one of the diseases that killed a shit ton of people. So the people that survived are the ones that had sickle cell anemia. This is something that, again, been known for a long-ass time. It's taught in high school level biology classes because it is a really good example of how sometimes a characteristic can be evolved that is negative in a lot of settings, but due to one specific situation, it is beneficial, which is the case with sickle cell anemia. Sickle cell anemia is really bad in most situations, really good if you're in a malaria-rich environment, because it prevents you from getting the disease.
Damn. Wait.
Because that was mentioned in a stream, and again, is well-known, well-studied, talked about to the point where it is used in really basic biology classes in high school. It was considered medical misinformation.
How long ago was it considered medical misinformation, though?
Oh, it is not actually considered medical misinformation by anyone other than Google, and it was considered medical misinformation. Again, this is why we aren't streaming to the Minions channel. As of...
Yo, wait, what?
Wait. Which part did you fall out of connection and didn't hear?
We're not
what
streaming in the
talking about?
Minions channel?
No, that's what I started this entire thing off saying.
Oh, dude, I apologize. Dude, my mind I'm like, it's split 3 different ways right now, so I apologize, sir.
I said, once again, we are not streaming to the Minions channel because we were hit for medical misinformation community guidelines strike by Google, or by YouTube, which is just a subsidiary of Google. And the thing that was considered medical misinformation is only one of the best examples of a well studied thing where it's a mutation that is beneficial in one circumstance but not beneficial in any other circumstance. Sickle cell anemia is beneficial if you're dealing with malaria. If you're in an area that deals with malaria, it's good, which is why it's extremely common within sub-Saharan populations. It really sucks if you aren't dealing with malaria because it causes a whole host of different health issues.
Okay, I think this is where you lost me. Is when you start going into the details of examples. I don't think they're necessary. But so we were.
They aren't, except it's me kvetching about the fact that something that has been known for
But yeah,
damn near 100
there's
years is considered medical misinformation.
there's multiple examples of that going on with YouTube
Yep.
pulling this bullshit. I can't believe we were tagged with that. Hold on. See now I gotta.
So we're currently over on my channel.
Did you post the link on Dominion's?
Completely
Discord?
forgot. Do you mind quickly slapping one over there for me?
Well, that's what I'm trying to find. Where do I find the link for this?
My channel.
Your channel.
Just like any time that we end up getting buffed, we end up streaming to our own channels for a little bit. We're currently streaming to my channel.
Okay, there we go.
I'm currently just finishing off searing up.
Yeah, searing. Speaking of searing, is that what that sound is in the background?
The hissing sound?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a little kitchen torch that I'm using to torch the outside of the eye round roast that I'm having for dinner. Because I sous vide it, so it's cooked to a perfect medium rare on the inside. So don't want to cook it longer. Kitchen torch, high enough temperature, quick enough that you can just fan it along the outside of a piece of meat. It sears up the outside without cooking the inside.
Ooh, it's giving a nice crispy outside shell type of.
Yeah, it sears up the outside so you get that nice meaty sear. The nice brown bits that you're used to. But it does so quickly enough and without heating the inside to the point where it goes past that beautiful medium rare that I've already cooked it to. So,
oh, damn.
What was the Odem about? What was the Odem about?
Yeah, I don't know. I forgot.
Okay. But yeah, so that's the reason why we're over on my channel. It's because we got.
Oh, right. That's what the Odem was about. How long is this? How long is this ban gonna go?
I think it's a normal 14 days or something like that.
Dude, I swear we get hit with this shit all the time.
Yep, and every time it's because we're talking about something that is a known fact.
And we're not even going for advertisements or anything like that. So I don't understand why we're being targeted. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's because we're saying things that Susan and male Susan don't like people saying.
And
even if
this is why we need Quiz here to say "fuck you, Susan" or however he goes it. I
Yep.
can't do it like him.
Even if, again, like I said, this is something that has been studied for probably over 100 years now and has been talked about in damn near every high school level biology class for at least 5 decades. But it's considered medical misinformation to talk about one of the most studied, best examples of a mutation that is beneficial in one circumstance but harmful in a bunch of others.
Oh, great.
Because it's specifically used when you're trying to illustrate the point that, yeah, just because something is evolutionarily advantageous in a setting doesn't mean that it's a good change. Because if you have something that can kill you, that is not exactly a good change. That's not a good evolutionary adaptation. But if the choices are you can potentially die after a few decades, or you could die very early on in life, well, evolutionarily, dying after a few decades is better than dying very young. So it ended up being passed on, and that's why it's prevalent now.
Bullshit.
Yep, it's frustrating as hell. But hey ho, what can you do?
Yeah. What can you do?
Especially
I don't know.
since the rules just keep on changing with absolutely no indication of why or when or how. They just do.
Well, that's why I kind of like the way we're structured. Um, you can bonk minions of the zoo, but at the same time, we're just gonna come
The
out.
show goes on.
The show goes on. We're individual states, people, or Susan. Look, we're gonna continue to rise up and keep fighting forward. So yeah. Oh my goodness, I can't believe we got booted.
Yeah, we're Hydra when it comes down to it, because you lop off the one head of minions. Well, okay. Every keeper has their own channel. Every minion has their own channel.
Yeah, and then we all get booted, and then I mean
That'd be a hell of a thing.
that's not gonna happen. No, I don't think so. But hey, so do you got uh, do you got plans coming up for the holiday? Well, I mean, we got one more week of a solid, like normal week, and then it's pretty much.
Well, you guys have one more week. Next week is the start of my early Christmas celebration.
Oh, really? So you're taking super vacation off?
Yeah, I'm taking from next Wednesday until the 22nd.
Holy shit! Are you doing another exhibition, traveling exhibition?
I'm going to the family home for early Christmas
Oh,
and just going to enjoy my time with the family.
so Sanguine,
Mm-hmm.
where do um giants go to convene and enjoy the festivities?
Well, I go to the East Coast because the family home is in one of the 13 originals.
Ooh,
So I go there. I have a fantastic goose dinner for the Christmas dinner, as well as a bunch of really nice meals while I'm there. So I go out, for about 10 days. Eat, drink, make merry. Come back. End up working Christmas Day here. But all in all, it's a fantastic time.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Well, you'd be having some difficulty finding something to blame on me, Costin, because I was not the person who said this absolute fact on the Wednesday stream. But, like I said, that was what got us bopped. Talking about established science that hasn't been argued in about 100 years.
Wait, you said it was because from a Wednesday show?
Yes.
Fucking Hammer.
Yeah, it was on Hammers. And like I said, that was what it was. It was either that or them vaguely mentioning CRISPR, which CRISPR is awesome tech. I really love CRISPR tech. It is pretty fucking cool. There's ways that it can be abused, but there's also ways that are really goddamn awesome that you can do with it to just make people's lives better. My favorite example is the way that you can use CRISPR, organ printing, and a few other techs in order to cure someone of diabetes.
Oh no.
It's theoretical, but it's not entirely unfounded theoretical.
Diabetes.
Yes, diabetes and diabetes accessories.
Oh, dude. Wait. Did we go through the Okay, so we explained the change in backdrop, right?
Yes, we explained that we're over on my channel because the Minions channel got bombed.
Yeah, because Hammer has to start, trying to be an Alex Jones and getting the minions booted.
Talk about things that have been known for 100+ years, yeah.
Yeah, like he's saying they're turning the frogs gay. But then, did you talk about what you were cooking for dinner? Did you go through
I
your meal
have
prep?
not as of yet, and I'm just finishing up plating it, so I can go through that now.
Ah.
So, tonight I'm having a eye round that was sous vide and then torched, sliced nice and thin, served up on a bowl of farro with some sautéed mushrooms that I put in some smashed confit garlic. I also mashed up some more of that butter confit garlic, put it right on top, and then I poured on a horseradish cream around the nice big plate of meat. Now I'm just trying to decide what I want my drinks to be tonight. So, chat, do you want to help me decide my drinks for the night?
Drinks like a cider or
Well, that's one of the options. I have a cider behind me. So I'm going to have one beer, cider, or wine, and then I'll have a spirit of some sort. So for the drinks, the options are a cider, because I have a Crispin's Imperial right behind me. Then I also have some stouts. I have a caramel apple from Toppling Goliath. I have let me quickly see what I have left in this box. Oh, I have two different types of Riesling, one that I haven't tried yet. I also have a cream ale from a somewhat local distillery. It's a bit north of me, but not terribly far. It's within the state. Then, like I said, I have the 2 bottles of Riesling. I could go for either of those. So, of the first drink, which of those should I go for? And no, I do not have store brand cola. I don't really drink soda very much.
Ooh, store brand cola like Shasta. Wait, no, not Shasta. What is Shasta? Is it Shasta?
Shasta is not a store brand, I don't think. I think that's one of the
It's like a
ones
Walmart
that's kind of
brand.
like RC.
Yeah.
Is Shasta Walmart brand? I thought Shasta was its own
I don't
lesser
know.
brand.
It was the first name that popped in my head when I was thinking store brand. I don't know why. It just did.
So, which of those non-spirits sounded the most interesting?
I'd go with the wine, to be honest.
Okay, so should I go for the Riesling I know or the Riesling I don't?
I don't. Only because the one thing I do know is that I know nothing.
So I am busting out the good Anselman's Riesling Cabernet. And, ooh, that smells lovely. Let me swap my glasses. I grabbed a pint glass. That is not the glass that I'm going to be drinking wine out of, though. So let me quickly make sure that there's no dust in this wine glass and wipe it out. But yeah, so I'll have the Riesling, and then when it comes to the spirit, should I have a spot of brandy? Should I go for a bourbon or American whiskey? An Irish whiskey, a Scotch, or a Welsh?
A bourbon.
Bourbon? Okay. Copy that. I'll go for. Let's see. Perhaps my Jefferson tonight. But yes, that's my dinner for this evening. And
Not
it
bad.
will be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I was once again told to eat ass. So yeah, I tell you, no respect.
Who exactly told you to do that?
We'll talk about that after the show.
And are you sure someone told you to do that, or was it just someone invited you to do it? There's a difference between those two.
Oh no, she hates me.
Ah.
It's not a. It's one of those. Yeah. But
There might be
no.
something more to it if she told you to eat her ass, because that might be a love-hate scenario there.
Well, I don't. If that's the case, I am misinterpreting these hieroglyphics. I am not understanding what this purpose is. But no, man. Who knows? Maybe the fifth element is there. But
Lulu, is that you?
the but yeah. It's Friday. Holy shit. Some crazy shit has been going on. Did you see the house that exploded
I
in
did not
Arlington?
see the house that exploded. Oh, the one in Arlington, Virginia from a little bit ago?
Yeah, it was like 2 days ago, I think.
Maybe a little bit more, but yeah, I saw there was a house that just completely badoomed in Virginia. Do you have the story on what happened there? I saw bits and pieces. I didn't see everything.
Well, I mean, as far as the media is not really putting anything out there, obviously. But what did come up is dude was his father worked with South Korea in some capacity, um, and he was convinced that his neighbors were spies, um, and apparently he was texting or sending messages during and after the explosion.
Mm-hmm.
So he might not have been there, but yeah, no, yeah, he's like tethered towards like this um data networking company that that connects information between or data information between um essentially China and Europe. And so yeah, it's like spy games is what we're seeing. I mean, oh, hey, that's crazy. Well, we still don't know who set off the bomb in front of the AT&T building in what Boston, and we still don't know who laid out the pipe bombs in front of the DNC and RNC buildings. So I mean,
Oh, and I don't know why that just reminded me of it, but you heard about the secret Chinese lab
oh yeah, in
in
California,
California.
yeah,
Yep.
and that was brushed on. Look, that's the one thing that really kind of gets me is when people are so ready to just put off things, and it's like, dude, there are so many instances of these things happening. Like it, it's not 1980s anymore, where you can just be like, oh yeah, dude, that's a crazy thing. That might not happen. No, this shit is happening. They're telling you it's happening. They're showing you that it's happening. Like, let's let's start looking into this shit. This is nuts. This is nuts that
So,
this dude's house just fucking blew up. And
so
it's
which article should I read? There's a bunch of them. There's the CNN, the NPR, the Guardian, NBC, New York Times, U.S. News, ABC, Washington Post. I'll let you choose which one. There's also the AP. Should we just go for the AP since most of the other places just crib the AP anyway?
I mean, I guess I wouldn't know which one. I mean, because they might all just say the same type of thing, like a house. It started with uh apparently he was shooting off flare guns, and it turned into a shootout between him and the cops with non-lethal weapons, and then eventually the house exploded. But
Mm-hmm.
there's
Let
even
me.
people saying that there was a car in the garage that exploded. Um, I don't know. It's all messy. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
nowadays you can't look at the news and expect a very clear, honest thing. That's why it's like, yeah, no, you're supposed to look at all of them and then figure
Mm-hmm.
out which one, or not which one, but figure out what the truth is out of all of it, because it, it's nuts. It's nuts, and I can't
Mm-hmm.
chalk it up to just, oh yeah, and just a crazy guy, doing this shit. You know, Uh, no, not when he's tied to this shit. Um, hey, look at how quickly they looked past the guy who was found. I think he committed suicide by a theme park, but he had like a bunch of guns and explosives and shit. It's like, how many times do we got to see this and be like, yeah, maybe there are some sleeper people going in and pulling some shit, and this guy was just, he didn't want to do it anymore and fucking blew himself up. It's
Okay,
crazy.
let's pull up this article. I just pulled up the AP in another window, quickly sharing the screen for that. Do you want to read or shall I?
You go ahead. Be my guest.
So this is the man believed to have fired shots before before a Virginia house exploded, died in the blast, police say, is the article title. Arlington, Virginia. The owner of a Virginia house that exploded as police tried to execute a search warrant is believed to have died in the blast. Officials said Tuesday as details emerged about numerous grievances he expressed against neighbors and others on social media and in lawsuits. James Yu, 56, was identified by Arlington County Police Chief Andy Penn at a news conference as the person whose actions brought police to the Arlington home, after he fired a flare-type gun from inside the house into the neighborhood more than 30 times. Penn said police responded to the house about 4:45 p.m. Monday after receiving reports of shots fired. When attempts to communicate with Yu were largely unsuccessful, police obtained a search warrant. As officers breached the door to enter the home, the suspect fired multiple gunshots from within the house, Penn said. He said it wasn't clear where in the house the shots were coming from or what the suspect was firing at. Soon after that, just before 8:30 p.m., the house exploded, shooting flames and debris into the air in a blast that was felt for miles. The investigation into the cause of the explosion is ongoing, fire officials said. Police asked that anyone with photos or video of the area share them with investigators. Assistant Fire Chief Jason Jenkins. Now, tell me that dude isn't going to become some sort of comic book crime fighter.
Jason Jenkins.
Assistant Fire Chief Jason Jenkins said authorities turned off gas service to the home and evacuated nearby residences, including people who lived in other parts of the duplex about 90 minutes before the explosion. I'm not going to speculate on cause or origin, he said of the blast. The fire department personnel absolutely saved lives by evacuating residents of the neighborhood, Jenkins said. Investigators have not yet identified human remains found inside the home, but all factors point to that it's this individual, Yu, Penn said. I don't know why that sentence just seems so janky to me. Yu publicly aired grievances against multiple people in his life. On LinkedIn, he recently posted paranoid rants about his neighbors and a former co-worker. He also filed federal lawsuits that were dismissed as frivolous against his ex-wife, younger sister, a moving company, and the New York Supreme Court. Each of 4 lawsuits filed between 2018 and 2022. There's a word missing from that. There's 2 words. Each of the 4 lawsuits filed between 2018 and 2022. The 2018 and 2022 cases were dismissed, and some were described by judges as convoluted and confused. Yeah, there's 2 these that are missing from that sentence, making it bastard to read. In 2018, you filed a 163-page federal lawsuit in New York against his then-wife, younger sister, and a hospital after he said he was committed against his will. Yu alleged conspiracy and deprivation of his rights, among other crimes. The sprawling complaint included biographical details such as who was at his wedding and also wove in facts about who was president of the United States at the time. Yu described how his then-wife drove him to Rushter General Hospital in November 2015 against his will. You denied having any thoughts of suicide or prior depression. He cited hospital records that reference a suicide note that he left for his wife, which he said he never wrote. The man who identified himself on the phone as the husband of Yu's ex-wife said she had no comment. Yu's sister did not respond to an email or LinkedIn message requesting comment. In his lawsuit, Yu referenced many attempts to contact the FBI. He wrote that he believed that a New York Times reporter he saw on television was someone who had claimed to be an FBI agent and came to his house in 2017. He said the person warned him against further attempts to communicate with the U.S. attorney in Western New York, or he would face harassment charges. David Sundberg, assistant director of the FBI's Washington field office, said Yu had communicated with the FBI with phone calls, letters, and online tips over a number of years. I would characterize these communications as primarily complaints about alleged frauds he believed were perpetrated against him, Sundberg said. The information contained therein and the nature of those communications did not lead to opening any FBI investigations. On Tuesday, officers wearing Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosive jackets combed a nearby street looking through papers scattered in the debris field. Junk mail carrying Yu's name and the address of the home then exploded. That exploded was visible on the street. Craig Kellemay, special agent in charge of the Washington Field Division for the ATF, said investigators were conducting a grid search of the home to determine the cause and origin of the explosion. The White House was monitoring developments in the case, a spokeswoman said. Our thoughts are with the police officers that were injured in that explosion. Olivia Dalton, the White House principal deputy press secretary, told reporters on Air Force One on Tuesday. Carla Rodriguez of South Arlington said she could hear the explosion more than 2 miles, 3.2 kilometers away, and came to the scene. But police officers kept onlookers blocks away. Yeah, no shit. Something just exploded. You think that they're just going to allow you to walk straight into the debris field?
Dude, it was a big explosion too, so yeah. I would hope people were evacuated and kept far away from that shit.
Mm-hmm. I actually thought a plane exploded, she said. Bob Maynes thought maybe a tree had fallen on his house when he heard the explosion. I was sitting in my living room watching television, and the whole house shook, Maynes said. Arlington is located across the Potomac. Oh, yeah, that's just geographical information about where the fuck Arlington is. Arlington is in Northern Virginia. It's right next to Alexandria, right next to DC, right next to Crystal City. Boom. Done. So yeah, that's the information that the AP put out on the story when this was published, which was 3 days ago. It is definitely a fairly weird situation, though. And then,
Yeah, something out of the ordinary, you know?
yep. And then there's also the war that's kicking off in South America.
What?
Which
Venezuela, or not Venezuela? Is it Venezuela and the
it's the attempted occupation or the planned occupation of a good chunk of Guyana.
Yeah, Guyana. Yeah.
Yep. From Maduro. and his government.
I don't know why he thought this was a good idea.
Because everyone's making a go of things.
No, well, I mean,
And if
true.
I was prone to be conspiratorial, I would say that probably the Tricoms are kind of pushing people to make claims as to this because they're trying to kind of set the groundwork. Get everyone tangled up in shit before they try to make their go on Taiwan.
Do you think that's the ultimate move piece? Is going to be China going into Taiwan?
China definitely wants to retake Taiwan. China has been making that promise
They have.
ever since Mao. And when I say retake, I'm using their phrasing for the attack. Taiwan was never under control of the Chicoms. So,
Well, to think otherwise is kind of ridiculous. I mean, that's like saying North Korea doesn't want to take South Korea, you know?
well, it would be like saying it's one thing to say that North Korea wants to unify or reunify Korea. It's another thing to say that China wants to regain Taiwan because, like I said, communist China has never had Taiwan. Korea was at one point a whole nation. Now, I don't want it to be North Korea that reunifies, but it was a full nation at one point. There has never been a time when the Chinese Communist Party held Taiwan.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, of course not, but this.
So the wording of they want to bring Taiwan back under control. No, it's never been under control. It's never been part of the Chinese Communist Party. It was part of Old Empire, and then it was part of the Nationalists, and it's been part of the Nationalists ever since.
Yeah, but the point still stands is that that's what they're looking to do.
Yep, which is why I was saying that when I said that, I'm using their phrasing in order to express how they view it, and then I disagreed with their expression.
Right, but the sky's still blue. So, I mean, we're splitting hairs here.
Well, yes and no. I'm saying the sky is blue. They're saying, now the sky is more of a purple.
No, they're saying the sky is blue, but it's their sky, and that's the difference. But either way, I mean, I think we can move past this point. To be honest,
yeah, like I said, I think that it is absolutely China's pushing people to make goes.
I mean, especially with things heating up in the Gulf, and the Red Sea, and I don't know.
China pushed Russia to make its move. China has been backing Hamas to make its move. China has voiced support for Maduro countless times. I don't find it strange that they backed Maduro's move.
Yep. Well, and more locally, I'm more concerned with a bunch of Chinese youths infiltrating our country from the southern border,
Mm-hmm.
which apparently we're not allowed to be concerned about unless we're concerned about supplying Ukraine and Jerusalem or Israel. It's just I
Yeah. See, I'm of the mind that we should absolutely support. Well, we should absolutely defend our border by actually having a border and border policy, which is not what we currently have. We claim that we have a border policy. We don't. We have you show up, welcome to the nation. Where do you want to be shipped?
bro, we're at a point where people in New York and Chicago are complaining about migrants.
Uh huh.
Not even migrants, just illegal aliens. Let's just be realistic with it. I mean, these people were caught and then shipped out. So this is what we're dealing with. Chicago didn't even they're fighting to try and build a fucking tent city for these people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a, oh well, it might be a little bit of here or there. No, it's a growing and increasingly growing problem. Um, so whether or
Which
not,
was a brilliant move by the border states to make it an issue of the states that kept on voting for this
well,
shit.
yeah, because you can only imagine what the border states are dealing with, where they
Yeah.
didn't have people being shipped out, where they just had them all just sitting around. You'd see countless stories of people with their properties, and they're like, dude, people are just walking through. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's nonchalant. And again, now I'm sorry, but if you come at me with the logic of, oh well, these are people who are just trying to blah 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 blah, it's like, dude, I'm sorry, you have just painted yourself as a tard, and I really don't care what your opinion is, because these aren't these people. Like,
Yep.
this isn't 20 years ago where it was like you could make that argument. This isn't the argument. We're seeing video of this shit. Like, this is beyond reproach anymore. Like, this is,
And also, when it comes down to the argument they do try to make of these are refugees. Okay, refugee. By international law, the first country that you stop in that does not have the issue that you're fleeing from, you stop there.
dude, that argument has been made long ago, and people
Mm-hmm.
still overlooked it because they were like, oh yeah, but that country wasn't good enough. It's like, well, that's, oh, okay. I'm at the point where it's, where they start talking about, oh well, you don't understand that they 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 they're emotionally, distraught, and they're so I don't fucking care, dude. Like, I really
Mm-hmm.
don't fucking care. Get the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done. We're fucking done, dude. Like, this isn't, how many times do people have to fucking pull this bullshit, and people are still, oh yeah, no, this is okay. This is a normal thing. It's not. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. I just hope more people wake up to it. You know. You want to talk about what I hope is
I think
is
that
is
what needs
false?
to keep happening. Oh, I was going to say before we switch topics,
Oh,
I want them to continue sending them to wherever the people that vote for those policies are.
well,
You
dude,
want
yeah.
these policies? Have them. Here, you
Well,
get the complete effect of them. We'll ship every single motherfucker there until you change your mind.
hold on, hold on. It's an interesting thing on that, because when Chicago, when did you see the recent? I think it was like uh, community town hall or something like that in Chicago, and there's a couple of videos on it where there's people sitting there like, hey, Democrats, we're not going to vote for you. We don't like Republicans, but Democrats are giving us what we want, so we're not going to vote for you.
Mm-hmm.
Alongside the migrant stuff, and it's like, but everything that they were saying, it's also fucking. They still don't understand what in the fuck they're talking about, and this is
Mm-hmm.
a sad thing. It's like I get it that it sucks that it had to get to this point for these people to say, hey, yeah, maybe we shouldn't just go to the voting booth and just click the same fucking button like like we used to, because it's what we're known. And it's like, no, educate yourself on what the fuck. Even though, again, let's be real, like these elections have always been rigged. They've always been rigged. It's I'm not gonna. Let's not play around. They've been rigged. Okay, even if it's a little bit, like Tim Pool is like, well, there's here or there, and then some drop boxes, and they stopped the voting. It's like, dude, that's a rigged election. Like, that's it, point blank. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear. Oh well, let me try and dissect and dispel. No, it's a rigged election. That's 100% what it is. Okay.
Chicago was a mafia town before
Chicago has been a mob.
before Las
Chicago got
Vegas.
John F. Kennedy fucking in office. Okay, let's
Yeah.
let's be realistic. This shit has been going on for a long time.
Chicago was a mafia town before Las Vegas was even a sparkle in the mafia's eye.
Yes, and if Chicago could do it, the entire federal government can do it. And this shit has been going on since the end of Civil War. Gah! I cannot wait till people fucking wake up to this shit. But here we are, and it's tiresome. At this point, it's tiresome watching this shit go on, and people are just like, "Whoa, well, I don't know, man. Maybe it's it's here or there." It's like, no.
Mm-hmm.
You see the people at Harvard and MIT talking about how uh, infantada is contextual or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, well, if they're saying genocide of the Jewish people, you know, it's here or there. It's like, bro, are you fucking kidding me? And again, to the normies out there, it's like, look, I don't know if you understand this, but this is what they are saying. They're saying that it's okay if you go around saying kill all white people, but if you sit there and say kill all black people, we might have a problem. This is an issue. Like, these are the people in charge. We need to
Yeah, you
fucking
shouldn't have any genocidal policy.
no.
It shouldn't be that, well, what's the skin color of the person that you're planning on
Or even
just
worse, I think it was
murking?
the person, I think it was at Harvard. I could be wrong, but she was like, until it gets to a point, like, so it's like, oh well, if they actually do the action, then we'll have an issue. It's like, no, 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 no. But
And see, the thing is that that's patently bullshit because we know what happens when people actually start initiating on those ideas. And we know what happens because we've seen it play out time and time and time and time again. When we see an African country institute totalitarian policies, especially collectivist totalitarian policies, we know what happens. It happened in Zambia. It happened in Zimbabwe.
mm-hmm.
It happened in countless other countries where what happens is they go, okay, so we're going to start exterminating and stealing from the white population. And gormless fucks will applaud their approach. The same people that are saying, well, it's okay as long as it doesn't go to a point, they're the same ones that go, Zimbabwe was bold and brave for doing its land reforms. Do you know what its land reforms were, Adam?
Oh, I can only guess.
Its land reforms were if the land is owned by white people, it isn't. That was Zimbabwe's land reforms.
But I mean, and even moving past like racial
Yep.
boundaries, like humans as a whole, if you let them get to this point, they will do this tribalism, and
Yep.
we
And you
should be
see that
working past that.
you see that looking at a bunch of other incidents throughout human history. When you look at the Holodomor,
Yeah,
which a lot of people don't like even acknowledging that the Holodomor was a thing. The
I don't
Holodomor
even
was
think
absolutely
I
a
don't think people even understand that it was a thing.
thing. There are people that will straight up deny that the Holodomor ever happened. The Holodomor absolutely happened. The Holodomor absolutely happened because of the policies of the Communist Party.
Well,
It
since we're in
was,
that region, I mean, you can even look at China and what
yep,
China did to their own peoples during the Red Revolution. I mean, like
during pretty much every policy that they've ever put forward. Because you look
hey, let's
at
kill the birds.
the Great Leap Forward, you look at the revolution, throughout the entirety of World War II, which was the Second Sino-Japanese War, is the way that it's often remembered for that component of World War II, because World War II was a shit ton of other wars mixed together into the World War. But in the, I believe it's Second Sino-Japanese War, there's a bunch of really fucked up things that were happening throughout the Sino-Japanese War. One of the most fucked up things in my mind is, do you know what the Communist Party was doing during the Second Sino-Japanese War?
Um, I mean, aside from maintaining their as much power as they could and fighting off the Japanese, yeah.
So yeah, they maintained as much power as they could, which ended up being that there was, I think, one battle where the communists were a major belligerent for the Chinese. So they were a major component of the actual battle. Do you know what the details of that one battle were?
No.
The Communist Party, headed up by Mao, had ordered the retreat of this one commander. The one commander started a retreat, realized, nah, I can fuck these bastards up, turned around against orders to retreat, won a victory for China, where the Communist Party, again, was the major belligerent in that battle. He fought a very impressive guerrilla campaign. And then, after he had worn down the Japanese through a guerrilla campaign, did a full assault of the Japanese positions, won the battle. Really well done. That guy was immediately praised and punished for his actions. He was praised because he won this battle for the Chinese, but more importantly, he won the battle for the communists. He was punished because, first off, he disobeyed a order to retreat. Secondly, even though he won the battle rather handedly, had shockingly few casualties, the communists viewed the casualties as too great because their enemy was not the Japanese, their enemy was the nationalists. And they viewed the loss of life of the communist fighters fighting against the Japanese, who were their declared main opponent, were too great to their mind because it would leave them vulnerable to the nationalists if it was repeated. From that point on, they were never the main fighting force for the Chinese. They would send maybe one detachment. And they were always sure to be at every fucking battle. They would do almost nothing at every fucking battle, but they would have one detachment there so that they could always say that they were part of that battle. And then while the nationalists were always looking to the next battle and the next fight that they had to do, the communists were running around the surrounding area going, "We won this battle for you." It was absolute horseshit.
Chaotic times, man.
Yep. And I still think that one of the people that should be the most demonized in proper Chinese history, by proper Chinese history, I mean the non-communist Chinese history, which effectively means Taiwanese history, there was a Chinese general that during World War II, he kidnapped Chiang Kai-shek, if I remember correctly. Let me quickly double check that I'm remembering the right. Because I think it was Chiang Kai-shek. Quickly double checking. Yep, so it was Chang Shu Liang. Or actually, that was his Cantonese. I'm not sure how to pronounce the Cantonese properly. The Mandarin is Zhang Shui Liang. So, Zhang Shui Liang and Yang Hu Cheng. Let me double check. It was, Yang Hu Cheng kidnapped Chiang Kai-shek because Chiang Kai-shek, throughout the early part of the second Sino-Japanese War, was very clear that, yes, the Japanese were the main opponent. The communists were the second opponent. So, fuck allying with the communists. We're going to fight the Japanese, and we're going to fight the communists. They kidnapped him. They forced him to declare that they were going to ally with the communists against the Japanese. And then it took 2 additional fucking years for the negotiation to finish. And then the CCP did fuck all during the war. Literally, fuck all during the war. But due to them forcing him to ally with the communists at the time, it allowed them to skate by without having to worry about the nationalists. And the Communist Party claimed every victory that the nationalists had, despite doing absolutely nothing to win the victory.
Wow, that sounds kind of familiar, to be honest.
Yeah. Very communist bullshit, isn't it? It's infuriating that they did that. And then after the war, naturally, who the fuck won? Well, you had one party that declared that they were allying with a group that had declared that they were enemies. Gee, I wonder who won that conflict. Was it perhaps a group that said that they were going to continue fighting the other group? Yeah, no shit. Like I said, it's something that every non-communist party, Chinese person should remember those two as the motherfuckers that ended up losing the Chinese the nation. Because that's what happened. That decision, them making that decision, sealed the fate of China. Because it made it so that the communists were able to freely recruit, freely claim victories where they had fuck all to do with them. It's absolutely disgusting.
I mean, the thing that gets me though is this is all history and information that you can look up, but nobody's doing that.
Extremely well documented history, yeah.
Nobody's doing that.
Yep. Part of the issue is that, so when it comes to looking into this period of time, there's the history as recorded by everyone else, by the nationalists, by the Japanese, by the Western powers when it comes to this time frame. And they're very clear that, yeah, the communists did fuck all. There was one battle. Everything else, they did nothing. And then there's the communist history. And people that are aligned with the communists, they will just look at the communist history. And they do so routinely. And the Communist Party is constantly trying to rewrite the entire Second Sino-Japanese War. Because what they do is they have a shit ton of period pieces that are all written by the party and then are released on Chinese media. They did everything that they could to destroy every semblance of Chinese history. Because, have you ever heard of the idea of the four olds?
Yeah, from with the Chinese communist stuff.
So, it is an idea that was pushed forward by MotZ. And the four olds were the four aspects that needed to be done away with. Do you happen to know what the four olds were?
Let me see. I think it was like family, religion,
The four olds were old ideas. So this was history.
Yeah.
Old culture. This is cultural practices. And again, more history. Old customs. More cultural practices. More history. More tradition linking them back to the past. Old habits. Oh, also old customs included the system of writing. Because the Communist Party got rid of traditional Chinese writing and replaced it with simplified Chinese writing, which was entirely designed by the Communist Party. And then it was old habits. So it was, let's get rid of everything that makes the Chinese the Chinese. It's fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, but they pretty much put it out there right out front and saying this is what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
What baffles me is when people look at that and sit there and be like, "Oh, well, that's just a normal way of thinking about how to structure your civilization." It's like, dude, are you fucking kidding me?
That's
It's as backward
progression.
as the Taliban fucking destroying the monuments that were in
Yep.
the Middle East. It's like, dude, that's not
That's
the way
a
to go.
that's a really fucking good example because that is exactly the sort of shit that the Chinese communists did. So,
They would have if they found the Terracotta Army, they would have fucking destroyed it. I'm surprised they haven't.
well,
Well, I guess
they
maybe
will
it's
keep in the newer version, they will keep things that they think can
garner money.
garner money, garner some element of respect, and being able to go, see, this is old, this is important. So there's everyone knows about the Taliban destroying the largest freestanding Buddha,
Ow.
right?
Yeah.
You remember those stories?
I just ran across an image of one of their um, feet de clopin.
So, have you ever heard of the Leshan Buddha?
Yep.
So, for those who don't know about the Leshan Buddha, let me quickly pull up a picture of the Leshan Buddha. It is this absolutely enormous Buddha that is not technically a freestanding Buddha. It is much larger than the Buddha that was destroyed in the Taliban demolitions. It's technically a relief
Mm-hmm.
because it is carved
Carved
entirely out of a mountain.
from yeah, carved from the stone.
Yep, it is a absolutely beautiful, beautiful statue when you consider the sheer fucking size of the thing. Let me pull up this image. This image is pretty good because it
Pull it up.
shows the size of the
Enhance.
Leshan Buddha with standard people. So so this is the Leshan Buddha. So people at the bottom of the mountain, people all the way up the side of the mountain. Look at the size of the Leshan Buddha's fucking big toe
Look at that.
versus a person. Here, let's see how much I can zoom in on this. Come on, there we go. So,
And you gotta remember too that foliage growth
yep,
that takes a long time to happen.
yep. It has been carved into this mountain for fucking ages. There's something that you can't see when you're looking at this picture, and that is you see how there's these little cutouts all the way down the mountain? So there's sections where you can actually go into the mountain and they're lined with these reliefs. There's something that you
Do you see the people walking up the stairs?
Yep, you can see the people walking up the stairs, but there's actually these little carve outs into the mountain. You see this window over here?
Yeah, it's like they probably have uh like rooms inside it so that way, for whatever they would have practiced.
And
Or even just had, for people to be there.
yep, they absolutely have that. and they have these little sections where there's just reliefs carved into the mountain, much smaller ones in these little chambers. Do you know what you see when you go into those chambers?
Do they have pictures of them?
Like I said, they have reliefs in them. Every single relief has had its face struck off.
Really?
Intentionally struck off.
See, that reminds me of oh, I know it. They did it in Egypt. I think they did it in ancient Greece as well. But it was they would remove the nose.
So it's part of defacement.
Yeah.
Literal defacement. So defacement in its original definition was to remove the face.
Not D's face, but this face.
Yes. It
No,
was
not this face, but remove this face.
defacing. So you took a face and you made it not a face.
Yeah.
And it was part of the Communist Revolution in China. I believe it was during the Cultural Revolution. They went to the Lashan Buddha.
Oh,
and
fuck, dude, are you talking about ancient aliens had to deal with ancient alien communists?
now I'm
Ancient
talking about
alien commies?
I'm talking about shortly after the Sino-Japanese War. They went to this amazing fucking Buddha just carved into this fucking mountain so that its big toe is a person in height. And in all of these little alcoves where there's people, little reliefs that are carved into the wall, they took hammer and chisel and they chiseled off the faces.
Hold on, can you go back to a big zoom out of the main Buddha? I'm not gonna lie, that's how pleasant I look in the morning when I'm
Nice.
taking a poop.
Oh, and also, so a good example of the defacement, they defaced one of the two side statues, they didn't deface the other. So this one is not defaced, as you can.
Where is this at again?
This is the Lashan Buddha.
Where what's the location?
The Lashan Buddha is located in the, let me pull up the exact location. It is Sichuan, China. So that's the province.
Ooh.
It's not terribly far away from Chengdu. It is carved into Mount MA.
Okay, so at least the CCP hasn't gone through and destroyed this. Not like I said earlier, the Taliban. A similar structure, not as grandiose as the sitting Buddha, but one of the side structures.
It was like
where
just
they would have blown it out.
Buddha.
Yeah. But I really don't like seeing that type of stuff, destroyed. And again, look at the size of the people with
with the Lashan Buddha, with this Buddha, the only reason why they didn't destroy this Buddha was it was considered too difficult to completely destroy the Buddha itself. So what they did was in all of these little alcoves down the side where they have these beautiful reliefs, or once beautiful reliefs, they went through with hammer and chisel and struck the face off every single relief. This side statue, this side relief, rather, right here, you see how it looks like a giant fucking thumb? That was a statue with a face. They had people rappel down. They stopped the process before they were able to get over to this one.
Oh, so they only got one of them, and they left the other one alone.
They were in the process when they decided, you know what, this looks really bad for us.
Wow.
So they had completely defaced this one. They had completely defaced all of the reliefs as you're coming down the mountain. Like I said, this entire wall is lined by reliefs. There's these little alcoves, safe from the weather, from the rain, from natural erosion, that all of those reliefs in each of the little chambers has had its face struck from the relief. They didn't get to this one. And the only reason that the Lashan Buddha was not defaced was it was considered too difficult to completely deface the Lashan Buddha. Because again, you're talking, that's the size of a person. That's the size of the Buddha's head. His big toe is a person. You're talking like 20, 30 people just piled up on top of each other. And then nearly the same sideways. It was considered too difficult to deface the Buddha. So what they were intending to do was just leave the Buddha alone until it eroded. But they were going to strike the faces off of every smaller relief.
You know, to be honest, I mean, personally, yes, I wouldn't want. I would like to keep the structure alive there, just you know. But as we're seeing with things in like Göbekli Tepe, or even the mountains in America, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't just dump a bunch of dirt and bury it.
Yeah. There has just been a shit ton of these issues where they went through and they destroyed these relics.
That hurts me. Like I said, like I was initially saying with the Taliban destroying the relics in the Middle East, that hurts me because, and even seeing these structures being destroyed, it's like, dude, can we at least, Aziz Light, can we at least get some information of what this stuff was and intended to, you know, before you decide, oh no, we're gonna just destroy it because we don't like these. And I get it. Hey, I get it. You know, if it's a giant statue to a demon that we don't like, yeah, fucking, I'm cool with destroying it. Yeah, but can we at least get the information so we know what the fuck it was?
And to call back to another part of history that I know you know about, but maybe some of our listeners don't. You know about the final destruction of the Great Library, right?
Alexandria?
Yep. So do you know when the final remnants of the Great Library were?
Well, hold on. When is the final? Is it when Caesar sacked Alexandria, or is it when
the Great Library
Alexandria
survived
fell from the
Caesar?
Muslim conquest?
It's the latter, because the library survived Caesar, and there's only one thing that said that there was a fire that even came close to the Great Library, which every other record refutes. That one history was penned by one of the surviving Pompeian rebels, whereas the Egyptian histories and the Roman histories state that the fire was on the other side of the city.
Yeah, I always figured that Rome would have just taken all of that shit, you know, into Rome.
Well, what they did was, because they were already considering Egypt part of Rome, they didn't need to take it into Rome. It was already in Rome. It was in the Roman Empire. What happened was that the library survived the Roman conquest. Then, centuries later, there was a riot of Christians in the area where they ended up killing the last official head librarian of the Great Library during the riot. Then you jump ahead to the Islamic conquest of the area, and that's when the actual final destruction of the Great Library took place. Because during the trying to think of the best way of phrasing it, because it was, I guess the sacking would be the best way of phrasing it. During the sacking of Alexandria, during the Islamic conquest, I think it was a caliph at the time still, was asked what to do with the libraries. Do you know what he said in response?
Is this the use the papers to heat the bathhouses type of thing?
It was, if the texts within the library agree with the Quran, then they're right, but they're superfluous. If they disagree with the Quran, then they're wrong and worthless. Destroy them. That was the response. The response to the, up to that time, greatest repository of human knowledge by the Islamic conquerors was, if it is an agreement with the Quran, then it's superfluous because the Quran already says it.
Well, hold on, because we're currently having an issue in the in the in the house, whether or not you can make these types of claims. It's not a Islamic conquest. It's a spreading of um, positive ideas.
It was done with an army. It was done at the end of a sword. It was a conquest.
Well, let's not tell them about the battle when pages of the Quran were put at the tips of spears. But, you know, history. Why even learn it? Even what they give us. And again, what they give us, what they're telling us. So, I mean, I don't know, man.
It's infuriating because it's information that, the amount of information lost that day. We have some scraps of it. We have some references to things, but we lack what we had because some primitive motherfucker decided that if it is an agreement with the Quran, it's superfluous because the Quran already says it. If it disagrees with the Quran, then it's lies and it is worthless. Fuck you. Later on, at various points and pockets, the faith became more civilized. Sadly, it fell out of that civilization. But it was infuriating. And it's infuriating to learn about it because there's a shit ton of examples where they do shit like that.
Well, I mean, I'm honestly, I'm just sick of, like, can we not, as a representative, well, my speech implemented as a representative of a country, whether you like it or not, can at least say that we've all had our issues, and we can work to better ourselves to get past these things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, holy shit! Like I said, it's just baffling to me that there's so many instances that you can look back and see people pulling some very egregious shit,
Mm-hmm.
and yet we're so focused on just like a small sliver of a time frame. But I, I don't know, man.
It's like probably one of the best examples of you've got to be fucking kidding me is I want to say it's a Qatari museum to the transatlantic slave trade. Do you know how they built the museum to the transatlantic slave trade?
uh no.
Entirely with slave labor.
No, well, that makes sense.
Do
I
you
mean, you
know
already
what
have them, right?
do you know what the premise behind the transatlantic slave trade museum was?
What's that?
That the transatlantic slave trade was absolutely barbaric and inhuman. Again, this was built by current slaves.
Wait, what year?
It was less than like 2 decades ago.
Mm, well, okay, because that dude, that was it, Qatar.
Yep.
What didn't they have? News reports going on like slave labor was used to build their FIFA fucking stadium or some shit.
Yep.
So it's like, and again, but this is what I mean. These news articles are out there, but people are like, man, man, I don't, it's not. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect me in my life. So why do I care?
You
It's like,
have
dude,
to
what the
respect their
fuck?
culture. You
Oh
have
yeah,
to
or that
respect their
too.
culture.
Oh yeah, well, that's what they do. It's like they do slavery. Are you,
It's just part of their culture that what they do is they buy slaves from Africa and then they geld them. What?
bro? I, again, that's where it's like I'm like you speak to me, and within a couple of phrases or sentences, and I'm gonna know. I'm gonna put you in a okay. I'm gonna deal with you with silly putty and Crayola crayons, or I'm gonna have an adult conversation with you. It's either
Mm-hmm.
or, and that's where we're at. And
Yeah.
sadly, there's a lot of people. I'm running out of silly putty and Crayola crayons. This is fucking ridiculous, dude. I can't
Yeah.
believe that we're at this point. But at the same end, I hear birthing pains are the worst at the end of the cycle. But boop boop
I mean,
boop.
hell, it's one of those things that the argumentation has just fallen so fucking far in so many different respects. I just had an argument that I was having with someone that ended up being terminated when that person apparently had the power to completely ban me from the space in order to have the discussion. Where
Wait, somebody banned you from? What did they ban you
banned
from?
me from the platform that I was having the discussion on.
Oh
So
shit!
the discussion was what was inflation? And I stated that inflation is a money supply issue. It's not just prices raising. Inflation can influence the increase in prices, but it is not the increase in prices. It is the increase in the supply of money. And the increase of prices is determined by the actual requirements to make the product. Then the main things that influence a change in price are the relative availability of the product, so the supply versus the demand for that product, if you have a shit ton of the product and not much demand, the price plummets. If you have not much of the product and a shit ton of demand, the price increases. And then the other thing is the supply of money. The more money that you have, the more expensive the product is. The less money you have, the less expensive the product is. This is just how shit works. You have these two factors that influence the change in price. They tried to argue the Keynesian conception of inflation, which the Keynesian conception of inflation is effectively inflation is only the increase in price. Don't pay attention to the amount of money that's printed. Never pay attention to the amount of money that's printed, because if you paid attention to the amount of money that's created, you would never be a Keynesian. So they define everything in such a way that makes it so that you are told constantly to ignore the production of money. But they then provided a source that in their source, well, they were trying to say that I was using a century-old definition of inflation. Their source goes, yep, this is a valid definition of inflation. It's not the Keynesian definition of inflation, but it's the definition used by non-Keynesian schools of economics. Because I pointed out that, yeah, your source says that this is a valid definition. It's just not the Keynesian definition. You didn't read your source, did you? You just found something that you thought would say what you thought, and you sent it without checking if it did. It says the exact opposite of what you're saying, and agrees with what I was saying. Because I said that, I was banned from that space. It's complete horseshit. It's things that happen constantly, though. Someone will submit a source. This is one of my favorite examples, is from 2015, 2016, something like that. There was the FBI paper on the most dangerous group when it came to terroristic activity within the United States. And when you looked at the data, it said that 1/3 of all terrorism within the United States in the period that they examined was committed by Islamic extremists. The results of the paper said that it was right-wing extremists were the most likely to commit terroristic activities. If you looked through the data, right-wing extremists were nowhere near 1/3. Do you know how they got the right-wing extremists were the most dangerous stat, Adam?
Wait, right-wing extremists?
So during the Obama years, there was a study that was ordered by the Obama White House for the FBI with the instructions to find evidence that right-wing extremists were the most dangerous in America, that they were the greatest terroristic threat to America. The study that was done said that about 1/3, maybe a little bit more, but about 1/3 of all terroristic activity performed in the United States was done by Islamic extremists. It then, in the conclusions, said that the greatest threat to the U.S. for terrorist activities were right-wing extremists. In the data, at no point, there was absolutely no way that you could perform a calculation that ended up with right-wing extremists being greater than 1/3, except for one way. Do you know the way that they determined that they were the greatest threat to America?
Would they have like a MAGA hat or something?
No, they declared all Islamic extremists right-wing extremists.
Wait, what?
In the study, so in the FBI study, they determined the criteria for right-wing extremism was they included a bunch of different things. One of the things that they included was religious extremist attacks would be considered right-wing extremism. They then found out that over 1/3 of terrorist attacks in the time frame that they observed were committed by Muslims, by Islamic extremists. They then said that right-wing extremists were the greatest terroristic threat to America, despite right-wing extremists were not 1/3 or more than 1/3. But what they did was they took all the groups that were recognized as right-wing extremist groups and they added them to the Islamic terroristic attacks. Because due to the fact that Islamic terroristic attacks were caused by religious fundamentalism, which they defined as a right-wing characteristic, they declared that right-wing terrorist activity was the greatest threat to America. Because you had over 1/3 plus less than 1/3 equals more than everything else. Your silence also indicates that you realize how fucking stupid that logic is.
I mean, it was baffling, but I was also looking at this image, and hey, could you send me that image of the Buddha?
Oh, the Lashan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
I can do that. That's easy. It's a beautiful Buddha. I saw the Lashan Buddha up close.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you climb the stairs?
Yeah.
Dude.
I walked all around the Lashan Buddha. It was in between my third and fourth grade year of school. I went to China, and part of my trip I was in Sichuan. And during the time that I was in the area, I went to the Lashan Buddha. Like I said, it's absolutely beautiful. And it is impressive as all hell. But it sounds like we're kind of winding down. Would you agree?
How long have we been going on?
Just shy of 2 hours.
Ooh. You know, I usually run 2 hours, but that's with some arcade fighting. Speaking of
Yeah.
which, dude, I gotta get you on a Monday. Some of these days. One of these days you're gonna love me. Some of these days you're gonna love me only.
And I just sent you the picture of the Lashan Buddha.
Ah, thank you, sir.
Yep.
But yeah, yeah. Honestly, if I mean, I know you because you have odd work time, so
Yeah, I work late nights.
but even if I can get you to, because I know Quiz, he works an odd work schedule, but I wouldn't mind having him. I'm kind of looking at it like you may not participate in the fighting games
Mm-hmm.
or the games in general, but being a commentator would
Mm-hmm.
be an interesting thing. So I'm looking at different things to spice up Monday nights uh, with the minions of the zoo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess this coming Monday, it's not gonna. I'm gonna have to do it on my channel, aren't I?
Yep.
Eee. Hey, okay.
Yeah. Again, it's because they decided that established medical fact is not medical fact. In fact, it's medical disinformation. Again, despite it being in every fucking high school textbook.
Look, they don't like the truth. Okay. All
This
the
is
times that I
true, but
wore
at the
my
same time, it annoys the shit out of me.
oh shit, you know what? I'm just gonna toss this out there. It's I might be running Sunday, so
Oh.
I'll be running Sunday on my channel as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think I'm gonna be doing some bowling and
Copy that.
yeah, hanging out. So Sanguine, if you want to hang out too, man, that'd be cool.
If I'm able to before I head into work, I will.
Awesome.
But it sounds like we're winding down. Would you agree?
Um, uh, yeah, yeah, I I would agree, sir.
So, do you want to give your parting words?
Um, my parting words. Well, first off, um, always, dude. I love hanging out with you, hanging out and chatting with you
Always a good
on
time.
Friday, dude. No, yeah, dude. I look forward. I was telling Prosby, uh, Tuesday. I was like, these are the few bits that I'm able to just like talk about stuff, um, without looking like I'm a fucking lunatic, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, um, I always look forward to hanging out with you guys um at the zoo. I love by golly gee willikers, I love the minions of the zoo. But no, it's I always have a blast hanging out with you, man, on Fridays. Um
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, and in terms of closing, I love you all and God bless. That's my closing.
Copy that. And I'll leave off with my standard of if you're passionate about something, make sure that you devour it. Don't let it devour you. And with that, have a good night, all. The zoo is closed.
Saludos, amigos.
And I click this, and